So we're filming this anyway, which is great. We're going to be putting it up on social media. So thank you very much, everybody. Just about everybody in this room has contributed one way or another into, in a very short period of time, bringing, helping me bring together International Women's Day in Wincanton. Because of obviously COVID, we didn't know if we were going to do it to the last minute. Then we put our application in for support from SSDC, as of course you know that are here. And thank you very much for that support. So we were able to get banners thanks to having Lizzie Ralph running up and down the high street. We've got posters in all the windows, Councillor Lizzie Ralph, I should say, which is wonderful. And just going past the butchers and the barber shop and seeing International Women's Day celebrations has been so warming, actually. This, I hope, is the beginning of an ongoing International Women's Day celebration in Wincanton. It's something that I feel very strongly about really belongs here, and I keep quoting that 80% of the shops in this town are owned by women, but I've made that figure up totally, but I have been counting them. I think it's something like that. And even the ones that actually are like the butchers and others, a lot of them are husband and wife teams, so it is about that. And of course we have our wonderful woman mayor, Sue Barrow, who's here this morning, and there are a lot of powerful women, the women from One Planet Wincanton, I have to get it right, One Planet Wincanton, who've been doing the rewilding. We've got our repair cafe they run, we've got our community fridge. I mean, in a very short time there's been amazing changes here, and I have to say, with all due respect to our Councillor John Clark, who's standing there from SSDC, it has been women who have been sort of taking the leadership role in what's been going on here. And looking at the mess that the world's in right now, to be perfectly honest, I think women in community is the future, and I've been saying that for an awful long time. So over the next few days, we've got a whole series of events. Oh, lovely. Hello. Lovely soup base, that's perfect. Do you want a drink? Okay. So we're talking about the strong women and how another one has just come in, Sue Place, who runs the Balsam Centre, our community centre, which is one of only 11 in the country, which does amazing things in the community for those in need. And you know, I just feel, I don't know how I ended up here. I always make the joke that I sort of flew in on my broomstick, and I don't know how much of a joke that is actually. I've ended up in this little town in Wincanton, and you know, I do believe that a town of 5,000 can actually change the world, and we're on our way. And it's just been brilliant to see what's been going on here, and I know it hasn't been easy. It's not at all easy, very challenging for Sue, our mayor, and the council in many ways, but we've got there and we're getting there, and it's continuing on. So I'm very, very delighted that's going to be the case. And I've got two people I do want to introduce you to properly in a minute, just as a representative of how in one small town collaborations between women can really do something amazing which can go globally. I also want to add that as part of our week's activities, we've got a little table over there which is creating funds to go to the women of Ukraine, particularly the women of Ukraine. We all, I know, feel very heartbroken about what's going on over there. So there are sunflower seeds, actually they are the national flower of Ukraine, but they are from England, in fact, organic sunflower seeds. We got gifted a couple of weeks ago, so any of you would like to take any of those this morning as gifts, please do. So while we're celebrating, it's very important for us to remember how much support and prayers need to go out to those. And of course, as terrible and shocking as it is that's going on in Ukraine, we have our friends here at Seed, Syrian women refugees who are still getting or still suffering from their terrible situation. Of course, we showed for summer here several years ago the movie about the end of Aleppo, and Afra Hashem has been down here a number of times, who is the spokesperson for the Syrian women refugees. I am mentoring a young woman, Afghan woman, who is currently with her family in a halfway house in Pakistan, can't get visas to go anywhere. Who sent me a very moving message today to celebrate International Women's Day from her, the young 20-year-old woman whose father was killed by the Taliban recently, and her mother and her siblings are waiting there to try and get a visa to America because that's where her sister is. You know, we live in a world that at the end of the day has got to change. It needs our prayers, it needs our support, and whatever we can do, we'll do. Here in this town, as I think some of you know. I'm working with a small group of 14-year-old girls from King Arthur's as mentor with Somerset County Council, and we've got a number of plans to be working with them on an ongoing basis with young women particularly who have, these young girls are absolutely amazing actually, hopefully will be here on Saturday, which I'll talk about in a second, but we're also going to be working with slightly older groups, 16 to 19-year-olds who have dropped out of the system, who have gone through a life the last 2 years that we wouldn't wish on anybody, never mind our own children and grandchildren, of, you know, first of all, the pandemic and not being allowed out, and just the general fear and mental health issues that are going on with young people means that a lot of them have felt that neither school nor work is right for them. So I'm part of a team that's supported by Somerset County Council that are doing their best to show that there is hope and that they can all really take their power and make amazing changes in the world, because at the end of the day the future is the young people and teenagers. So Saturday, we've got a wonderful week of events all together. Tonight we're showing Mary Quant film. I think several of you are coming. We've sold out, which is wonderful. We have decided that we're going to do a monthly movie here, and we know that a lot of people in the town wanted to have movies when the various research was done. I don't see our little, well, it's not little, it's big, but our office upstairs is the long-term cinema for the town. But we thought at least if we could do special films every month, so we're showing Vivienne Westwood's documentary next month, Westwood. And we've got a whole series of events that we've decided we're doing here. We do anyway. We're going on with our women's gathering, and we're going to hold one at the end of March because it's Mother's Day. So we're going to do a mother and daughter sort of special theme with mother and daughter guests that I've yet to tie up, so I can't say who they are, but I'm going to get, well actually I'm going to try and get Ruth and Naomi Kimber up here. I'll have to talk to them about it, who would be a wonderful example of mother and daughter to talk to everybody. Back to this week, we've got thank you. And back to this week, we've got live music on Saturday night, which is very exciting with Hattie Webb, who's been here before, who was Leonard Cohen's backing singer, and she's going to be back. I'm so pleased she's coming back. We're going to regularly do live music. We've also got tomorrow, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore, Wednesday, wellbeing. We've got some fantastic wellbeing experts doing a Medicine Woman Day. Thursday is storytelling, so we've got Lucy Jago, who is a top-selling author in the world, who's having a movie made from her latest book, but she is local, she's coming to talk, and various other wonderful speakers. Jane Alexander, who's the top wellbeing authors, coming up from Devon to spend the day with us. Friday, Tamsin's going to be doing a make and craft workshop, which we're very excited about, and she will be doing these regularly every month. And also the wonderful Julia is going to be doing Julie Boo jewellery workshop up the road. And I'm sorry, thank you. Bootmakers, you know where my brain goes. Bootmakers are going to do a fantastic workshop in the evening, which I love the sound of, which is taking their brat skulls and redoing them. And then there's other things going on around the town. We hope that there'll be all sorts of sort of offers for coffee, half price for the women on the new cafe by the co-op, and all sorts of fun things, and a big smile we hope from everybody to everybody. And Saturday we have got, well, yes, that's right, our World Cafe Saturday morning, where most of you I think will be here, I hope, where we're going to be doing, I'm sure you all know World Cafe style, it's tables, supposed to be round tables, in this case it may be some round and some oblong, but we've changed tables and we talk about what we are going to talk about, and thanks for input from Sue Pace and from Sue Shelvan Barrow on this. We're going to be talking about how does one small town create the fabric as a community for culture, economic, environmental and societal. That's right, societal, environmental, economic and cultural fabric for one small town. How do we do that? Because Pam over there, wonderful Pam from SSDC, has been working so hard on the regen of the bricks and mortar of this town, which is going to look very different, we think, in about a year's time, within the limitations of cost of building going up. I think we will get there. But at the same time, how do we create that fabric as well within the town? Hi, darling. Hi, Charlie. So that's what we're going to be working on Saturday. So if any of you can make it Saturday morning, it would be really wonderful. Because I went to a conference in Iceland years ago. It was when Iceland's banks collapsed and that whole country was bankrupt, and they called a town hall meeting at that point based on World Cafe, I think, where there's only 360,000 people in Iceland, as you probably know, and most of them live in Reykjavik. So they had people representing all the towns, and I'm very much hoping that some of our younger people in the town, I haven't said actually, Charlie, but maybe Jemima might come, your daughter, who's been part of the mentoring groups here, and where's Pam? Maybe your daughter's free, and we're going to ask. I have asked our young 14-year-olds from King Arthur, so it would be really great to have a conversation across generations to get their input on how they see the future of the town. So that's just, I think I've included everything. And now, I'm sorry to talk so much, I'm going to introduce my two very special guests who represent true collaboration on a local level. And there's more of you here. It's not, I mean, we're really focusing today on the lovely Saskia and Eilis. But I've collaborated with Charlie, who's just arrived, who's moved recently to the area, who runs this beautiful company, MOA, and does fantastic natural healing herbal toiletries. So we've worked very closely, and Julia's done work with us, and I'm a great believer that we can, all create far more together than we can apart. So I'm going to introduce first of all Eilis. Who is, I don't know if any of you have seen Eilis on her bicycle cycling through town. She is one of the elves that live behind the door at Discworld, who packs all that stuff up and which sends it off around the world, and they're too busy to open their doors because they've got such a huge business of sending off all Terry Pratchett's memorabilia. Anyway, I think we met through the Seed Market originally, but apart from being one of the Discworld elves, Eilis is also an incredibly talented artist. You can see some of her work around the room, which will be here all week. And when I was developing my Power of 7 Archetypes, for those of you who know, is my really my work for the last 4 years of for women's empowerment as a toolkit, using the 7 archetypes that we will discuss a little bit more in detail. I think it was Sam actually suggested, wasn't it, if I remember? Sam or Tamsin suggested that I should talk to Eilis about, because I wanted them to come alive with amazing illustrations, and so Eilis got it straight away because she is not only an elf but also a fairy and witch, so she totally got what I wanted, and did these beautiful, beautiful drawings, which are paintings actually, which are around the room, and which are appearing on t-shirts, and we're going to have them on all kinds of things, including this fantastic work by Saskia, which I'll explain in a minute. So I'm just going to do a little interview with Eilis about her story, because you really are a local girl made good and incredibly talented, and a bit of a secret really in this town. So where did you go to school?
I went to school at Gillingham.
Oh, right. You're just over the border in Dorset.
Yeah, over the border. And then I went down to Falmouth for uni, and then came back again. So, but yeah, and I sort of started kind of the way I got into. Well, I mean, I've always painted and drawn from the magical realms, but it kind of I found a bit of a home in the kind of fairy markets and the sort of esoteric spaces of like the mind, body, spirit sort of fairs and things like that. So yeah.
And we found you, which is very wonderful for us. So there is absolute magic in all your work, and I hope you'll have time to do more, and we can show them more as our artist in residence, Seed, which I think I've just decided you are. But on top of that, you've also been creating your own studio. You've been so busy building your. Do you want to talk a little bit about your eco studio that you've made?
Yeah. So I learned a few years ago how to build with cob, which is a sustainable way of building. It's made with clay, sand, straw, and aggregate. So stones. And it's beautiful stuff because it's you can sculpt it and you can mould it to however you want it to go, and it breathes, so it's like living inside it would be like creating things inside of
it's like a hobbit house basically, isn't it?
Well, yeah, like a little studio just out the back, so I've got a little space to paint and stuff.
Do it all naturally.
Yes, so because the fumes from oil painting aren't really what other people want to be around. So yeah.
Oh, it's very exciting. Well, at some point maybe you'll do a little tour up there for us. We can.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not.
It's a bit muddy around there at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is. But it is the future, and you're a great example. In fact, I might ask you while I've got you here in public eye, to come back and talk to the teenagers at some point about building
definitely.
the eco,
100%,
how to build your own eco studio.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Eilis's work will be here all week, and you'll be seeing our Power of 7 images on all sorts of things, from kind of technology, right, because we're going to be using it for all sorts of digital download work, together with, as I said, we've got all sorts of journals and magic products and those sorts of things. So I'm very grateful to have found you, and thank you very much. And I'm going to move on to Saskia, if that's all right, but thank you very much, Eilis. I'm now going to, I don't really need to introduce Saskia Marjoram, but I will. Saskia Marjoram is rapidly, at this point in her life, getting a reputation as the sort of top flower essence producer in the world. She's winning awards left, right and centre, getting featured in Vogue and all kinds of specialist publications and mainstream publications, and for whatever reason also has ended up living in Wincanton.
Yes.
How did you get to Wincanton?
Oh, that's a long story, but it's kind of quite magical as well.
Yeah.
Mainly by using my pendulum, honestly.
Oh really? Yeah. It's just
Yes, but
coming.
it still blows me away how much better you feel when you walk down the high street.
Yeah.
Every time. It's nearly better than walking down Glastonbury Tor or somewhere. Energetically, I just love. It always makes me smile every time.
Yeah, especially when the sun's out.
Well, even when it's not, somehow it just always lifts my spirits. Just the openness of people and the way they smile at you, and they always say hello, and it's just such a friendly town.
It is.
And there are quite a lot of us who go, I'm not quite sure what we're doing here, but here we are.
Everybody.
And we really like it.
Everybody says,
So
"How'd
one
you
day
get
we'll
here?
not
How'd you
realise
get
why
here?"
it was we're here.
We were brought in by spirits.
Yeah, and the gang's gathering.
The gang's gathering. So tell us a little bit about your history, because you've had a very interesting professional career, working with Prince Charles and all that. So.
Yeah, Prince Charles. Yeah, that seems like lifetimes ago. I've always worked with plants, basically, but I've always just said yes to the next thing that's opened up. So there was never a plan. There was never any training. There was always just like Mum saying, get a job or move out, and me going, oh well, there's a gardening job. That doesn't look very hard. I can do gardening, I'm sure. And blacking my way into that was my first job, was working for Prince Michael. By pretending I knew how to garden, and realising how much I loved it. So so that kind of started me off really, and that was in Stroud in the Cotswolds where I grew up, and then brought my boys up. So I lived there for 40 years and still feel like I've escaped the valleys of the Cotswolds. Always plants and flowers, always been flowers, and in amongst all that, working for myself for a really long time, and ended up being the florist for the Prince of Wales for on and off for 10 years, which was very interesting, and brought my floristry skills up top notch, and in amongst that needed flower essences, which if anyone doesn't know are similar to the Bach flower remedy. So you take them as drops under the tongue, they don't smell, and they shift and change how you think and behave and really work, which is why I'm still doing it nearly 20 years later, and which is why eventually when you do something long enough you get good at it and people notice and go, oh, there's that Saskia, she makes those magic drops that really work. So on it all the time. So discovered how amazing essences were, and me and a friend decided we'd give it a go making them, because we liked making things rather than buying them, and it seemed quite easy to do, so we just did it, and had a range and just slowly did it as a side hustle really for a really long time. And then 5 years ago I decided I was going to either give it up or go for it properly, so I rebranded and did all the website and did all those things that women just do because they either can't afford it or they want to learn themselves, or they just do it. I've always been a just doer. So the essences have come along since then. So now I've got a little shop in Wincanton at the top there. And again, that was by accident. Wasn't thinking of having a shop, just needed somewhere for the essences to go when I moved house. And Claudia, who isn't here unfortunately because she's behind her shop counter, said, oh, the little shop just up the corridor there's just come up for rent. Why don't you take that on? I'm sure you could run your business from there. So now I've got a little shop where I have consultations and people come and ask me.
And if there was ever a little witch's shop, that is the shop. And if you haven't been there,
it's really cool.
So much like a witch's shop. And it's
apothecary.
It's wonderful. So we've worked with you since we opened the shop, having your essences in and selling them very well, I may say.
Yeah.
And then I think really it was you and Tamsin came up with the plan to, and with absolutely my full joy and endorsement, to create very special Power of 7 flower essences, which we now have here, and we're literally launching today, and we know that they're going to do incredibly well. So each one of the Power of 7 archetypes, for those of you who aren't familiar, they are Seed Sower, which is all about ideas and creativity, the Alchemist, which is and they are feminine archetypes, I should say, and we all have all of them in us, and men have them too, but they are slightly more leaning towards women. The Alchemist is that side of ourselves that makes things happen, that produces things, that designs the website. The Medicine Woman is the aspect of ourselves, the nurturer and the healer who looks after our own well-being, our family's well-being, our community's well-being, and the well-being of our projects too. And Storyteller goes back to the ancient times of women and men sitting around circles, sharing their stories, their myths. But in modern day, the storyteller, of course, is the person that knows how to use TikTok, well, whatever, and on social media. But storytelling is a very, very important part of life today. We need to remember our stories, and we also need to make sure that the narrative stays positive, even in the challenging times like we have right now. And so the storyteller is very, very essential. The Sky Dancer is the archetype that represents partnerships, relationships. So the Sky Dancer side of us is the one that's collaborating on these products, or who be collaborating with Eilis. Anything we do together as teams and partnerships and networking, but in a way which is not what you can do for me, what I can do for you. It's a new way of working together with grace and what I call tantric relationship building. And then we have the Space Weaver, which is very, very important, which is the artist, the inner artist that makes these beautiful objects. Tamsin's very much represents to us our Space Weaver. It's also, I think, well, actually it's quite interesting, Julia, thinking about you, because you make these beautiful necklaces, but they are healing necklaces, so they've got Medicine Woman in as well. So it's kind of an interesting bringing it together. We all have all of those things. And the final seventh archetype is the Wisdom Keeper, which I'd like to feel I'm moving towards, although I have my doubts most days, from the Seed Sower, which is ideas, to try and hold myself back and be more of holding the space, being the wise woman, and trying really to be supportive for everybody else, because I am getting on now. I think it's about time, but it's very tempting for me. I think, oh my goodness, we haven't started a bank today. Why don't we start a seed bank? But believe me, I am talking about doing so. So it's all a bit mad. But anyway, so that's the 7. So I don't know how you did it, but do you want to talk through the qualities, or is that?
Yeah, no.
We thought you might want to try
if
some.
If people want to sit down, I'm a bit aware that everyone's just been standing up for quite a long time.
Yes,
So
we'd rather
if
sit
we're
or
gonna,
stand.
if they're not
Or
interested
we
to-
could explain one-to-one. I mean, if you want to sort of volunteer, we've got each one got an open bottle. So if you want to come and try just one of them which you feel resonates for you, and then Saskia will explain to you what's in them and why that resonates for you.
It was a very interesting process actually, because obviously having made combination essences, for my own range but also for other people in the past, making these 7 archetypes and feeling into Lynne's visions for them felt completely different. It definitely was a much more magical process. I find it difficult wearing the witch's hat, or being categorised or archetyped in any way, being an Aquarian. But I was definitely aware of how different it felt when I was making them, and how I was like feeling into that feeling, and how I saw each essence, actually each flower essence, which I know on a level, and often I'm talking about them in quite a practical level with people about helping them, stop sleeping, sleep better, or not scream at the kids, or just everyday things. That making these archetypal essences made me feel into the different flowers in a much deeper way, which for me was great, because it meant I just saw them from a different angle, more on a kind of positive, not positive, but often essences are helping change a negative state, whereas these feel much more like they're assisting you and supporting you in becoming more of that archetype.
Your growth, yes, absolutely. That's very interesting.
Besides removing the blocks that are stopping you
Yeah.
being fully your storyteller or fully your wisdom keeper, or believing that you're able to do those things, it felt much more like the flowers and the plants are like supporting us through
Yeah.
into that situation more.
Yeah, no, that's
So
really
it was
interesting.
quite, it
isn't
was a very interesting process.
Yeah, which is that is what the Power of Seven about. It's about taking your strong archetype that you resonate with in the deepest level and building that up, but also then looking at the other areas perhaps where you need to build up.
Yeah.
So you might be brilliant at one thing, but actually a lot of women are brilliant at seed sowing, at the ideas, but the alchemy, when you make them turn them into reality, can be more challenging in business at least. So that's, for a lot of women, I think the art of the alchemist drops will be incredibly useful.
And also you saying that, Lynne, thinking about International Women's Day and how women in the past have been treated, how it's been quite difficult for us to go into that next stage of having the ideas but believing that we are able to do them and we can go out and do them, and having that bravery just to go, I'm just going to do it.
Thank you, that is so true, because when I talk to groups of women, it's always our self-confidence and self-belief that holds us back.
Yeah. And sometimes that's from our family situations, but it is a society
it's a
issue
societal
as well.
issue.
That we haven't got it in us, that we know we can do it, but there's lots of things that stop us.
But we are warriors, and again, in a positive way.
Yeah.
So we went. My mother used to, what I used to call us a bit of a warrior. Now we're warrior. We should have shifted from warriors.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. So as I said, Saskia will be here sitting down. So I'm sure everybody would like to try their drops. If you've got time, please do.
I've got the list in my pocket. I remembered to print it out this morning.
Oh, good.
Technological feat on my old printer. So I have got the list of the essences that are in each one. If you're interested.
Yeah, they've all got it listed on the back and white. Yes, that's what it's been white. We're going to do a lot more background material on it all, and it's brilliant, and it brings together. So we've got collaboration of Eilis's beautiful paintings,
which are on the labels.
Yeah. Saskia's done the drops. Townsend worked out how to make it all work.
Got it on the website.
And I just said, yeah, that looks great.
In your true wisdom.
My true wisdom, as a wisdom keeper. So that's a collaboration of 4 of us here in the room, which is really great.
And the plants, of course.
And the plants themselves, which we must give thanks to. Absolutely, Mother Nature herself, of course, is the greatest strength for all of us. So we've got teas, coffees, cakes and everything. Anybody like to ask any questions about anything that I've left out? I've left out a whole list of things that we're going to do. I think I did mention most of them. I just want to say, I've got it here actually if my eyes are good enough. No, it's not that. I talked about this week. Sorry. We're going to start, as part of our very successful spoken word nights that Sam runs, we're going to put a comedy spot in. So if any of you know any jokers, I don't know. Yes, no, Vicky or me. Alright, no, you can. If anyone knows any jokers who wants to start bringing in some comedy, Vicky Bag here, Councillor Vicky Bag, will be running a local knitting group, the Knitwits, on a Friday morning in the Sea Cafe. Friday, well, this week is Friday afternoon, but the ongoing is Friday morning, isn't it? And as I said, Townsend's going to do once a month. And this is exciting news. We are going to run a little vintage fair in our back garden from May through the summer that my friend Joanna Jacobs is going to run. She popped in and I wanted to do that for a while. We love doing the fair, the little market outside, but it's a little bit difficult right now, especially with the work that's going to go on. So I've got that lovely back garden, and we're going to have a little vintage fair starting once a month in May, which is great. And then we're going to also have what I've called Magic and Wisdom Saturdays, where we're going to have guest witches, intuitives and shamans will be holding special workshops, readings and ceremonies twice a month, which will be fun, and more live music, as I said earlier. John's going to wonder what he's got into here. And the movies, we're going to do the movies once a month. So we're going to have a lot going on here, and we're going to have retreats. I'm sure there'll be more. So I cannot tell you how much I feel so much gratitude to everybody in this room for your support. And even though I only met Jane today, she's married to John and she's been supporting this area of Somerset for many years. So I really want to thank the team at Seed, who are amazing. I probably won't get the chance to do that much over the week, but I do appreciate everything that Sam, Tamsin and Lucy do with me. Very much appreciate Lizzie's support as sort of a freelance member of the team now that she's got time, and everybody in the room who has been incredibly supportive of what we're doing here, and it makes me feel a bit emotional really. That's it, I think. So thank you so much. Please have another drink, have a cup of coffee, and come and try the lovely flower essences.
Thank you.